Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the techie tagger herself, Sandy Reevy. Say hi.
Hi, everybody. Wait till you hear this one.
It is episode 207, July 11th. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have Tuesday, July 12th, Venus trine Saturn.
Practical and realistic.
Wednesday, July 13th, full moon in Capricorn.
See your reflection.
Wednesday, July 13th, Mercury sextile Uranus.
Cray-Cray.
Thursday, July 14th, Venus square Neptune.
Try hospitable.
Saturday, July 16th, Mercury conjunct the Sun.
Cazimi, so ask yourself.
And Sunday, July 17th, Mercury trine Neptune.
Pieces into place.
And Sun trine Neptune.
Align.
And Venus ingress Cancer.
Emotional bonds.
And a special upcoming on Monday, July 18th, Mercury opposing Pluto.
Keep thoughts to yourself.
Then in talisman time, Sandy has finished up 3 talismans to protect the self and loved ones, to publish words of poetry, and to be healthy, along with one upcoming we're going to share. And also on the horizon, we have our astrology forecast cheat sheet, a couple of webinars we want to talk about, as well as the retreats. And in our house, next week is our 4-year anniversary for this podcast, as well as we explain why we're calling Sandy the techie tagger. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you does.
Hello, techie tagger.
I love that. Do you just make this up
Off
in
the cuff.
In that exact moment?
Usually right before the podcast, yes.
That's good.
It
Well,
has
you
to be
do have-
current.
you
It
do
has
have-
to be.
You do have Mercury and Aquarius in the 10th.
And I love alliteration. So there we go.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the techie tagger because that actually is a big announcement that we have to say, but that's happening in our house.
It's at 2 years in waiting
Yes. And
with some change.
for right now, I just want to go direct to all of our listeners saying thank you so much. Our 4-year anniversary is coming up, and that is next week.
I know.
Episode 208 is going to be our 4-year anniversary. We're going to have a special giveaway, basically, and we're going to talk about that in our house. But for right now, I do have a message from Shelly, who wrote in last week about the meditation that I did. She says, "Good morning, Alex. Was just wondering if there's any way I can make a copy of the meditation. I've listened to it for the past several days, and it has just struck something inside of me. Thanks, my friend. See you soon. Love, Shelly."
Love Shelly. I love Shelly.
Yeah, we all do. Even all the listeners do, I'm sure. And if you haven't met her, you just have to come to one of our events because she's always
Front
there.
and center.
Yeah,
Front and center.
front and center. So I want to talk a little bit about this because I've been kind of ruminating and creating something behind the scenes.
I know.
And, with these meditations, and I really wanted to give a little bit more of myself in these podcasts rather than like kind of getting all of your astrological knowledge. I also wanted to be giving the listeners something. And so in doing these meditations and, figuring out the scripts and the music, I knew how much I loved meditations, but I really, really love doing these guided meditations. And so I am going to be creating something for you all just for these meditations that I've been creating. So if you do have any feedback or anything, of course, email me, alex@intentionbeads.com. I'm going to be giving you more announcements soon on what exactly I'm doing.
And you'll have to uncover it for me, too. I knew you've been working on something.
Yes.
But you haven't asked my feedback on all of it, which is exciting for me.
Right.
Is coming up. And it really so makes sense. You have Venus and Jupiter in Aries in your 12th house. the house of meditation, spiritual connections, right? And Jupiter is coming into Aries all next year for you. It's going to hit you're going to get a Jupiter return in the 12th house, and you're going to get a Jupiter Venus. So this is just a perfect setup for, really expanding a new 12-year plan when we get to the spring of next year.
Yay! Yes, I'm really excited, and I'm excited to share it all with you listeners. Okay, so shall we try and get into the transits? So we start off the week with Tuesday, July 12th, Venus trine Saturn. And also, before we get into it, do you have like an overall view of the week?
This is a busy week. We've got a lot of transits. When I get 2 pages of transits, of written out transits, there's a lot going on.
Right.
And we got a full moon that's really tough.
Okay.
And we kind of begin the week that way. We've got some squares. We've got the Cazimi of Mercury. So this is a tense week. Very busy. Yeah.
Well, let's start off with Tuesday, July 12th, Venus trine Saturn.
This is the nice part of the week. This is practical and realistic. Venus here is making a trine, very harmonious energy to Saturn, and this is all in an air sign. So all views, all money situations, and all relationships have a stable structure. That is a great time to review and repair any problematic areas. Saturn's always here to say, what is true? How do we want to be mature adults, even if we're not? And also, I like this because, as Venus is in Gemini sign, it's wanting to have, pleasurable conversations and nice words and appreciative actions, right? And Venus at 24 degrees of Gemini is in Saturn's bounds. So, these two are managing well together. So, yeah, we start the week off on Tuesday with a really good plan for the week. Let's see how it flows.
All right. So Wednesday, July 13th, we have 2 transits. The first is the full moon in Capricorn.
Yeah, this is at 21 degrees of Capricorn. This is at 1:38 p.m. So this is in the afternoon. We're not going to be able to see the exact full moon because if it's 1:38, we got the sun up, right? Moon's below the horizon if they're in opposition. So I call this see your reflection. Now, because that's what the moon is doing. The sun is in Cancer, opposing the moon that rules Cancer, right? So, and she's looking at herself, let's say, everything about her emotions, her internal private space, her home, her family, who she's connecting to from a Capricorn view, which, is, moon is in detriment here.
Right.
And she's all lit up, full moon. So see your flaws, see what bad behaviors, what are those uncaring feelings? What do you just not give a S about? And I don't mean Sandy. You don't need to count them. Simply just recognize that you have a new plan, Uranus, to release Pluto for the betterment of your health and the wealth for you and others. Now, let's go. Why did I use that Uranus, Pluto? And actually we can say Neptune. Because this moon is making check this out, because this is at 21 degrees. So this is kind of in the third decan of the 2 signs, Cancer and Capricorn. And the moon is making a sextile to Neptune, an outer planet, a conjunction to Pluto, an outer planet. And then the third outer planet of 3 is trining Uranus. So, it's like see what's beneath the surface. Reflect what you normally can't see about yourself. Because you might just be seeing surface things, but this is the actual micro to see what you cannot see. And therefore, when you cannot see something, you don't trust it. is the typical route, right? So, that moon being with Pluto, just within some degrees, because the moon's going to hit Pluto before the day's over. Mm-hmm. So what types of behaviors and flaws can you at least
recognize?
Mm-hmm. Just be aware of. We're not asking you to fix it.
Right.
But you can actually maybe start calming those down.
Or even just embracing it a little bit, because I think sometimes when we push things away so much that it isn't a part of us, instead, if we then embrace those shadow sides, mm-hmm. We actually have them on a shorter leash. We know that, I know I can tend to come off this way, instead of like, oh no, I'm not like that. Mm-hmm. But of course.
I like that. You pull it a little bit closer.
You rein it in closer by embracing it.
But at least you have it connected to, it is connected to you. Just be aware that it's connected to you. Mm-hmm. This would be a really good day to do a meditation on that.
Yeah.
Using this energy of, because when you can do something for the betterment of your health and your wealth for you, you're automatically doing it for others. Mm-hmm. So this is getting underneath.
Yeah.
This is getting underneath the nails, right? This is, yeah.
So it is. So in a full moon can normally just bring up those things inherently, where you don't necessarily have to make any of those actions. With the full moon, with the moon being completely lit up, that's a time for us where we can't hide. Even the nighttime is illuminated. Mm-hmm. So the shadow is then illuminated, and so I think itself. And in that shadow type of work, I think it's always good to remember that everyone has their shadow.
What?
Without light there is no shadow. So you can't pretend not to have it. Unless you pretend that you also don't have light either. So yeah, be gentle with yourself there.
Yeah. What's my favorite song? Crack it.
Let the light in.
It lets the light in.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
let's go to the next transit of that same day, Wednesday, July 13th, Mercury sextile Uranus.
This is at 7:00 at night. This is what I call Cray-Cray. And it's a sextile, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's crazy, crazy, crazy. I mean, it is a full moon. Mm-hmm. We're on the same day of the full moon. But by calling it Cray-Cray, it's about developing thoughts, writing it, saying it, claiming it. It's, after all, your mind. Mercury is your mind, right? And remember, Mercury is in Cancer, which is the moon's rulership, because the moon is reflecting what you're thinking, so you could say what you feel, because your mind is bringing all these ideas and thoughts and feelings forward. It's great for your ideas, with Mercury in his own bounds, where he has a leg up, make that leg high, since Uranus will create an unpredictable movement, kind of like a punching kick idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Punching kick idea.
Right. You probably were too young, and I doubt that I took you to this concert, but my brother's good friend had a band, and I think he still does, in the middle of Ohio somewhere. And he would put razor blades. He'd wear a pair of shoes that had razor blades on the tips of his shoes, and during one of his songs, all these balloons came down, and he was kicking them and popping them. Whoa. As part of the rhythm or the music that he was singing. And it reminds me of just getting your leg up so that you can really get in kicking action. Mm-hmm. Is that Taekwondo, right? These are
kickboxing.
These are action-filled feelings that can be a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
A little bit cray-cray.
And so this kind of reminds me of if there's a song that is a little bit more badass that you don't normally tend to gravitate towards, but maybe try and just look up the lyrics and just sing along with it and just kind of be that badass singing it and embodying that space, because not only is this like kind of full moon of taking in our shadow side and maybe saying some bad words and, you know, just realizing that's a part of the human experience altogether.
My daughter is telling her mother to say bad words.
Well, maybe it's like saying things that you don't normally say, and just like the song that comes to mind is called "Truth Hurts" by Lizzo, and it's like, I just took a DNA test. Turns I'm 100% that B.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like, just like claim it.
I've never heard
you know.
That.
Something along those lines. I like that. Or like the kickboxing, kind of really getting into it and kicking those balloons to rhythm.
Yeah. You know, this is also the day, Wednesday the 13th is when Congress gets back into session after their break, the holiday, their July break. So, you know, what is coming up as the Congress goes back into law-abiding bills and interpretations, and a lot of talk. So I'm hoping that there's some new developing considerations coming into the Congress while the full moon is being expressed, and this, you know, sextile to Uranus is also coming up with, come on, let's try some things new, right? Let's kick this out of the ballpark.
We can only hope. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So Thursday, July 14th, Venus square Neptune.
Try hospitable. Try hospitality. Hospitable. Give more today than what you expect to get. You know, it's a square. Venus is square to Neptune. And this is at 25 degrees. To give more than what you expect to get, right? Isn't that a beautiful way to put that? You know, I really like that, because getting will lead to disappointments, right? Like, what do I expect to receive will lead to disappointments here, because it's a square. But giving will return to you twofold, right? It may not come right away, but just knowing from your heart that Venus part of saying a nice word, and it's just appreciation. Send a text, because Venus is in Gemini.
And that's true. I mean, I feel like those small actions, like sending a text or a letter, or, you know, they do make big strides with people. And we constantly forget.
Yeah, it's like sending a what do they call those, gifs or memes or mimes or memes that you normally wouldn't, like I don't. To just make somebody smile, make someone feel comfortable, and for that, because,
and even,
you know,
just paid attention to, you know.
And I think because Venus, you know, is exalted in Pisces, where the Neptune is sitting, you know, if you're artistic with your big bad self, this is a great day to lean into those areas where you may not know what is on the other side of the veil. Right? Try some new idealistic ideas. Like, what could you imagine you'd want to happen? You know, I can talk about our house thing. I've been imagining this thing for 2 years, and it just came into fruition.
Finally.
Right. So, you know, and for relationships here, you know, go easy on yourself and go easy on each other. Again, you can play, if we're talking about songs.
Adele. I listened to that the other day.
It's like, go easy on me, right?
It's a good song to sing along to.
Yeah, it's truly, it's just like, go easy. You know, and because you could be in this, you know, which is why I called try hospitable.
And so we're moving into the weekend, but we still got a packed weekend. So Saturday, July 16th, Mercury conjunct the sun.
This is Cazimi. Mercury's moving fast. Mercury is hitting at 24 degrees.
For some of our new listeners, just quickly explain what is Cazimi.
Cazimi is when a planet, this happens to be Mercury, which he does 6 times a year, so he does it the most, when a planet gets into the heart of the sun. So, or when the sun gets to the heart of a planet, because sometimes the sun is faster. than some of the other planets, but it's just the planet in the heart of the sun. It gets to be very clear and calm, just like the plane in the middle of a storm.
The eye of the storm, or the eye of the hurricane.
Yeah. And so this happens during waking hours at 2:38. So it really goes from, let's just say, 10 a.m. till maybe about 7 p.m. that day. And just, it's a superior Cazimi. And this is when a planet is direct, when it's direct in motion. And so I ask yourself, who are you in this world? Those descriptive words lead to your answers. Are you clear now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who are you? Who do you want to be? Those are two separate questions to get two separate answers, right? Because who you want to be may not be who you are right now, right? And I like, we like Cazimis, particularly, you know, it's a lot easier when they're not retrograde. So Mercury is not retrograde. He is retrograde every other Cazimi. So there was no shadow period. We weren't tracking a shadow period during this time. But
so it's not a rewriting. It's a
moving forward
type of writing.
Well,
writing something new.
This is where Mercury now becomes a night PM planet, a night star. So we've been seeing Mercury in the early morning rise before the sun comes up. We've been seeing that since the last Cazimi. And now we'll start seeing him maybe about 2 weeks, 10 days. When the sun sets, we'll start seeing, if it's clear enough, you can see Mercury on the western horizon. But this also marks the halfway period between retrogrades, when Mercury's moving the fastest.
All right.
Like, he is zippity-doo-dawing through July.
Okay.
Normally, he spends about 3 weeks in a sign on his regular movement.
Right.
Regular direct movement. He is now 2 weeks in the sign. So, super fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we move on to Sunday. There's 3 transits. Sunday, July 17th, Mercury trine Neptune. Pieces
into place, sort of like a stepping into the magical mystery world where unusual pieces do make sense. Right? Have you ever had a dream where you're like, while you're in it, it totally makes sense, but you're trying to describe it the next day or write about it the next day? It's like, how many dreams was that now?
It's like a normal
bing,
occurrence
bing,
for me.
Boing, bing, boing. It's kind of like all over the place.
Yeah.
Because your mind is going that magical mystery tour. So I also have some dates here because this is a Mercury, as I mentioned, Mercury is trining Neptune, right? Which is really great for imagination. Right. Alice in Wonderland,
right.
Bouncing off mushrooms and meeting up with
Mad Hatter, following the bunny that's always late. Rabbit, hare. I think he was a hare.
But check in since July 2. So earlier this month, about 2 weeks earlier, when this Mercury was trine Saturn. Because at that point you had a direction, right? You knew what to do. And now it's trine Neptune. And it, because we've got Saturn in a third decan of his sign. We've got a lot of the planets are in the third decan of the signs they're in. So there's a lot of, 23, 25, 28 planets. Of course, the outer planets. Because if you're planning on watching our Chatting with the Stars webinar. Just the webinar that Susan Goodell and I have that's coming up this week, which is actually on Wednesday the 13th, a full moon. I forgot to say that. That is when Congress is back in session and Sandy and Susan are back in session for a webinar. And we're going to be talking about the retrograde Pluto return. It's the second of 3 passes.
For the USA's chart.
For the USA's chart.
Right.
Yeah. Serious biz.
Right. And very synchronistic.
And just interesting that these other planets, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and even Saturn, will be moving into new paradigms, new signs over the next couple years. Interesting. We're going through a complete, well, that's for the world, but particularly United States, because we're going through our first Pluto return.
Right. And if anyone else is listening, you know, alongside of me, where you're just getting like more and more nervous about what that means, it is so interesting to listen to Sandy and Susan's webinar about what is going on and how the USA's chart is mirroring a lot of what's going on in news, in the government, all of these decisions that are being made.
The monies, yeah.
It's interesting.
We've never been through a Pluto return. The United States is not that old.
And doesn't it feel like it? My gosh. So if anyone knows or has had a Pluto return in their life.
Well, nobody would. Nobody can live 250 years.
A Pluto transit.
Okay.
Maybe I should say. A Pluto transit.
Yeah.
This is basically the mega one for the United States.
We know it. We see it. This will help you understand that we are to be going through restructuring. That is not easy.
Right.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
At all.
Right. It's like for personal charts, Pluto transits are like divorce, bankruptcy. What else have you seen?
It's a transformation.
Surgeries.
Weight loss, surgeries. I mean, it could be, redoing your body. It depends on what it's hitting. Right. If it's the sun and the moon.
But you've seen like all of that
hit me at the same time because I have but anyway, we won't get into that. But anyway, I'm saying all this because of all these outer planets that set up the generational pools. And when I say pools, I mean PULLS, that pulls us, that grasps us and urges us to have a particular leaning. All these planets, some are moving into their next sign in 2023 and some in 2024. So we are going through a very, very... We're alive right now. How amazing is that? We're here to watch United States' Pluto return while all these planets, and there's hope. There is definitely hope for the future, but we don't feel it right now.
Not only watch, but participate within.
I mean, feel it. Yeah.
So let's move on to the next transit, which is still that Sunday, July 17th, Sun trine Neptune.
I like this. Anytime, again, we get the sun making a trine to an outer planet, we know it marks the first turn of a retro. Either the planet's direct and retrograding, as in this case, or it's retrograding and it turns direct. So I like this. It's I call this a line. That's a ALIGN, marking the turn. It's time to retrograde, to align yourself with your vision of who you want to be. Remember, we asked the question earlier this week, who am I and who do I want to be? Well, here's the day you try to align with that. You have some months. You have a good 4 or 5 months to have this moving towards. So it's not like you have to jerk your head and pull a muscle. You have a time to make the turn.
But start defining that. And the next transit, Sunday, July 17th, is Venus ingress Cancer.
Ooh, emotional bonds. I like this. This is creating family or family type of relationships, finding emotional security, being with your familiars, the people that you are connecting, you connect with on a regular, redecorating your home or your sacred space. What I wrote in our cheat sheet is so perfect. It's a Saturday night, and this is about 8:30 at night. So it's like, pour a new summer cocktail, marinate homegrown vegetables, and sit out back. Right?
Sounds like a perfect night.
That's what my plan is on the 17th.
Yeah, perfect Sunday night.
And it's really nice. It's really about getting close, like sitting and really listening to people and asking them questions and sharing and feeling them on a compadre, kumbaya kind of feeling where you're all, around the campfire doing the back and forth, arms around each other, right? Yeah.
And then we also have a special transit that's happening Monday, July 18th, early in the morning. So we wanted to include it in this on the horizon.
Yeah, because this is Mercury making an opposition to Pluto. All right. Now we're Mercury opposing Pluto. I said keep thoughts to self, hold your cards close to your heart. Otherwise you might lash out. Don't let into someone's over-the-top propaganda. Watch the news for revealing secretive stories. This will be, again, we've dove, I guess is the right word. We dove into below the surface, right? There's something below there, and now we're finding it out. Maybe it's being revealed here.
Okay.
So this full moon, like this week is like full moon, it's going beyond.
Jam-packed.
You know what? I just had another thought about, going below the surface, where we see, how you catch chipmunks, right? We did it when you were kids.
Oh yeah, it's kind of messed up.
Yeah,
I remember
but
being
they mess
really
up.
sad.
They mess up. So it's like, but you draw them into the surface, and there's something below it, right? So it's kind of that feeling of just don't stay on top. It's okay to get deep.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a big week.
Yeah, huge. Mm-hmm. So we will see how all of this turns out. Make sure you don't miss the Chatting with the Stars webinar. That's about the USA's Pluto return. It's going to be very informative. It will also be recorded if you wanted to download and stream it later. Let's move into talisman times. Woo-hoo. Yes.
Okay.
So you just finished 3 talismans. The first was Tuesday, July 5th, to protect self and loved ones.
Like a mama bear, I'm cool and calm, yet I protect my cubs in all situations. I walk through my paths knowing I am a guarding angel.
Yeah.
And this is the moon on Alcade, which is the tail of the big bear, the great bear, which is guarding the little bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the fixed star here. So this is a really nice one. That's on the website and available for purchase.
Yes. And so Wednesday, July 6th, you made 2. The first, to publish words of poetry.
I express my creative style with gentle charm. I touch all humanity with my written phrases. And this is the moon in Libra with Libra coming up, moon coming up over the horizon, making a really nice trine to Venus in the 9th house. 9th house is publishing and getting credit worldwide. So
right.
if you're writing a book on short stories or poetry or something, or publishing anything really, this is a good time to push
and allow your words
and to get it into the publish, to get it into others' hands so that it's spread around the world.
Yes. And Wednesday, July 6th, to be healthy.
I easily ward off disease, illness, and all evil spirits. I am coated with a special skin. This is the moon on the ascendant. Moon on the midheaven with Algorab, and this is the wing of the raven. So this is about protection and courage, and again, diseases, staying away from that, and making all this, making that trine to that Venus that I talked about earlier. But now it's about being healthy. And when I travel and when I get on any plane or especially my international travel, I always, or if I'm going to a large group of people, I always wear my protective talisman. I think everyone there's certain talismans I think everybody needs, right? Like my one I wear every day, that everything works out well, right? That whether it's my control or not my control, everything works out well. I wear that every day. Sometimes I'll wear my protective, that I am protected from all beings and bad behaviors and disasters. Like, I don't say those words, but I'm protected by all beautiful spirits, and literally I trust that because I trust my talismans, and so I trust that, and I walk with diligence, and I walk with courage. Because I know I'm not afraid, that I'm protected. So this is, to be healthy is another one, being protected from all that's out there in the world these days, right. Whether it's a germ, a bacteria, a person, an event of something. It's really important to be protected. This is one that needs to sell. Yeah.
And so the upcoming talisman, Monday, July 18th, to totally be in love with something or someone.
That's already sold. I rise up from the nourishing murky waters I originated from, to sip the beauty, peace, and harmony in my divine-filled life. This is July 18th. One of my clients I had a talk with this week, her birthday is July 18th.
Oh, cool.
And I wasn't planning on saying this, but I was going over her birthday because she gets with me every year for her solar return chart. And we talk about, a little bit about last year and how this year is going to be different from,
right.
birthday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, July 18th. I just wrote my talisman for that date. And I read it to her, and she's like, exactly where I'm coming from, the murky waters, because this describes the lotus, or really any flower that has that coming out of, doesn't care what kind of
the mud.
Yeah, it doesn't care what it's coming from. It's getting nurtured. Right. And it's reaching up to the heavens, in the light. So yeah, this is already sold. And this is maybe where I want to say that, I did actually last week talk to another solar return. I always say 2 weeks before your birthday to get a solar return reading with me, or anyone really, but me, because I'm here. Right. And purchase a new talisman for that set of energies for the year, because you always go into a new, unless you have 2 Saturns in a row, which always is the case, and to go into the new set of experiences with your time lord or time lady as your purposeful intention of that year. And so Venus is her time lady for the year, and this is that mutual reception.
Oh,
with
beautiful!
The moon and Venus. So, wow, this is coming up over the horizon. So it's like being born again. Yeah. So, if anybody out there is listening, if you're not with me a subscription, or you don't get with me occasionally, then always once a year, 2 weeks before your birthday. And if you're looking at doing a talisman at some point, do it at that time. I'll help you find something, because then you are moving with your intention and intentional
of
set
that year.
Of energies for that year, because the saying, as above,
so below.
And so below means us mortals here on this planet Earth. Yeah. Okay.
And it means many things, as outside, inside as well. That kind of the mirroring. And don't forget about the talisman of the month to finalize the transformation of my body. That's $222. It's on special on the website just for this month. You can click the link in the description and head right over. So let's move into On the Horizon. Okay. And we have our July astrology forecast that's ready and waiting for you on the website to rewatch, as well as the July cheat sheet that Sandy and Susan create every month to take you through all of the transits.
All
It's
the
all
weeks,
written down. You have a section for notes if there's anything that you really want to pinpoint on there. It's a great tool. And July 13th, don't forget USA's Pluto return part 2.
Don't miss this one, folks. Don't miss this one.
I also have part 1 on the website for 20% off. So if you join that one, you can brush up. If you missed part 1, you can brush up on it quick before joining Wednesday's webinar. I think that's it. We do have ending July 21st is the early bird price for the 2023 Mexico retreat. So make sure to get your deposit in and ready so that you get that amazing savings. Let's move into our house.
Okay.
And next week is going to be our 4-year anniversary of this podcast. Anyone who has been with us since the beginning, I want to know, email me, alex@intentionbeads.com. I want to give you a shout out and say thank you for listening for this 4 years. And also, we have plans to celebrate. Do we want to share that yet, or are we going to share that next week?
Share that next week.
Okay.
I don't know why I said that, but share next week.
Okay. You got to wait for next week, and then we're going to share with you our big celebration. So shall we move on to
our next big idea?
The techie tag
our
name
next
that I
big
gave you.
Project that, oh my God, you have no idea how excited I am. I come down and look at it while you're gone. No.
So let's give everyone a kind of background on this.
So for about not really probably 10 years, since I've been making talismans, for 12 years, I've been making talisman. I've always known to put the markings of the planets on the talisman. And, I use clay, and then I bake it because everything has to be, gone through a fire. All right. Moving forward, I've tried this, I've tried that. So 2 years ago, I'm like, serious, Alex, I want to do this. We've got to do this. Mm-hmm. And we tried inscriptions. We tried this tool. We tried that tool. We couldn't find anything that was out there in the world that would give me what I wanted.
Right.
2 weeks ago, I spent, I don't know, I think I sat on the couch for 6 hours on a Friday night.
Super fun.
Doing research because I was determined to find an answer to this long, many-yeared.
It takes time. Research takes so much time.
Impatient.
So
I find something, and I'm reading all the tutorials. I'm reading and there's not a whole lot of what do you call those things that people say? Reviews. There's a few videos, and I looked to see when they started selling this product, and it was 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
2 weeks ago from when I'm looking at this. So I'm like, oh my God. I call you right away. I'm like, I found it. It wasn't even invented yet until 2 weeks ago. That's why I've not been able to find it all these years.
Right. So basically...
So I bought it immediately.
Right.
Because they only had 15 in stock.
Yes.
For the world.
Mm-hmm. And so it's a laser engraver. So each one of the talismans that we have everything serial numbered. So it corresponds to a chart. It corresponds to Sandy's handwritten work. It corresponds to a picture. It corresponds to your specific bracelet and intention.
To your card in the box.
You can register that bracelet on our website, where we reach out to you once a month. So each one of our bracelets is actually going to have a little silver sterling silver tag that's attached to the bracelet, that you always have that number associated with that bracelet.
And you have the inscription of the planets.
Right.
Or whatever their glyphs are, whatever we're using.
Mm-hmm.
And that then tends to have more of a influential guidance for that talisman.
And a more traditional style of talisman, which talismans traditionally have some sort of symbol associated with whatever planet is aligned with it. Yeah, and we have all of that, in our pockets and also on the card. But now having it along with the bracelet is a whole brand new thing.
Well, you have to use certain colors for different planets. You have to use different summifications and incense for different planets. I use different candles. I put different rings on when so I dress the part of the planet. So you have to do some magical workings to make a talisman. But the main thing about a talisman is you have to find the actual auspicious planetary alignment. So it's again, what is going on in the stars is happening here on Earth. But what we do with the talismans is embody it at a particular time. That's why I give times for my talismans. I can't make to protect self and loved ones anytime I feel like it. I have to wait for a particular alignment in the heavens, and that then. And the other thing too is, I know one client that has probably 25 talismans, and she gets mixed up on which one is that. She'll wear 3 or 4 of them at a time, and she'll put them back in the boxes because you say the intention and affirmation upon wearing it every day. And I think with 25 talismans, she was getting confused. And this will be, and anyone that has talismans that want to send your talismans in for a restring and adding the silver attachment to it, we will do that for $10, which really is a restring charge is $10. So it's actually, the silver thing is free.
Right.
But I do a restring, so it's $10.
Right.
So get those in, and if that's not up on the website yet, it will be shortly.
Yeah, I'll have it in the description of the podcast. And also,
you're awesome.
If anyone has any questions, they can email me, alex@intentionbeads.com.
I'm going to get a head start on I'm going to get a head start on my week by saying how awesome you are. Right? That I can be hospitable and say nice things about you.
Thank you.
You're always on top of it and do excellent work. So thank you, Alex, for being my daughter.
Thank you.
And my business partner.
So I think that's a wrap on our podcast this week. Okay. And I appreciate everyone for listening in. This is the end of our 3 years.
3 years, every single week. We have not missed it. I don't care.
Nope.
Although we really don't get sick. You and I don't get sick too often. So through travel and out of towns and
every week
and other plans that we have that is not work related, which is not very much.
We're working on that.
Is we've been steady and on target for giving you, and we're proud of that. And we really thank you for listening in. I would like to know how many have listened to 207.
Right?
So that
it would be so interesting.
Yeah, how many you've listened to. Maybe feed us that information if you can.
Yes.
So anyway, we'll be happy to make our big announcement. We're going to do a little a 50% off sale kind of thing.
It's going to be exciting, so stay tuned for next week when we have all that information for you. But again, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Remember, give us those 5-star reviews wherever you listen. Tell your friends and family about this podcast if you care to share. And that is all. We will talk to you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story